Hello, this is Zahn Patilla. I go by the moniker at BurningwoodM on Twitter or BurningwoodM just on the internet. Today I'll be starting a new developer, game developer vlog because of a 1 month game jam that I had planned with some people from my, trying to be a comic artist days. Uh, Basically, this will be, or how I start these game jams that I work with other people, is I do a ceremonial welcome to the game jam. Now, granted, I've only created, this is my second game jam, but my first one was Fairy Tales, and I did a kind of dark one, so eek. The second one will actually be related to another game jam, which is the one game a month. But this time around, it's kind of like I've kind of created a smaller, closer team, and we're going to try to make a game. Right now, this is a working title called Mouse 2016. Well, I have no clue what the real title is going to be, but this is our start. The reason for this is the story doc is missing. So what I'm doing right here is I'm demonstrating how a game doc is kind of created. Not all the aspects, but some of the aspects through a PowerPoint. I thought that was easier. And the other thing is I don't want to, since I'm putting this public for various reasons, I don't want to give away spoilers of our story because I think that anyone interested in playing it would benefit from not having the entire story out. There is a story. I mean, it's not like we're Donald Trump. Okay, I shouldn't have said that. It's bad. It's terrible. Anyway, I also want to say thank you, Google, because if you see that, that's a screenshot from my iPhone, and I'm able to work on documents and stuff in real time, take pictures, and coordinate with a team just because of this. And this is going to be really cool. And I just want to say thank you, Google, for going into debt, or not going to debt, but not making a profit from YouTube and still keeping YouTube alive and all this other cool stuff. Thank you. Okay, and the other thing is, since I'll be mentioning services and referring to other works of arts or creative works, all copyrights are their respective owners, and references will be made under fair use for educational purposes and criticism. So we're going to be looking at some stuff. There you go. Yeah, it's done. So let's talk about the team. Usually in a game doc, you should have your team, and you should assign set roles so that you, and for a game jam, so that you know what exactly you're asking of others and what you can ask of others and what they can ask you, blah, 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 blah. The other thing, oh, I should go over the team. You can see it on the slide. Oh, and then my baby's in the bottom because I couldn't figure a role for her yet. She's only an infant. What is she doing on this game doc? Anyway, I have the how to make webcomics as a reminder. Again, my background originally, before I was really kind of getting into game stuff and or really to the internet, is just trying to become a web cartoonist, for better or for worse. And a lot of the stuff that those four gentlemen who created how to make webcomics, like, it was really cool advice. And one of those things that they had said was, do the legal stuff before you work with a team. And here you go. Here's some of the legal stuff. Because, I'm not saying this game is going to be huge, but it would be nice to know this stuff just in case it is. You never know, right? So here we go. Description of gameplay. Mouse 2016 is a 2D side-scroller with puzzle elements. It will have some hidden picture elements between stages. So it's kind of two genres, a hidden picture game and a 2D side-scroller. It'll be a 3-button or touch interface. So again, that's also something you want to consider is your controls, your basic gameplay, so that the art, so forth and so on, can be designed for that. More illegal junk. Distribution for this project. This game will be distributed via HTML5 on Newgrounds, itch.io, and the Sierra Arcade for the public to play and comment on. I'm kind of just doing this just in case there's people that want to license the game, because it is an HTML5 game. We might sell it, not sell it, but I don't want, and this is, I know there's no way to stop it, but there's a lot of sites that actually publish HTML5 games without the creator's permission, and they make money from it. So I just want to put that out there that these are the 3 places we'll be distributing the game. If anyone on the team wants to distribute it somewhere else, it's fine. This excludes social media, backlinks, so forth and so on. But, it sucked to have a site having our game on there without our permission and making money somehow, or trying to monetize without our permission. So that's on there for that. Creators agreement. I always like to have an exit plan for everybody, or to know the percentages of ownership. So at the moment, this is a creator-owned project split equally among Kristen Atkinson, Mason John, and Zon Patil, which is about 33.33%. Yes, divide literally 100% into 3. It's not a pretty picture. And this is also kind of an ownership thing. I don't know. This is simple. This is not going to go into tax liabilities, maybe potentially other types of fees or services that we may need to promote the game. And we can talk about that later, but at base, everybody knows they own 33.33% of this. So if someone does sell it or whatnot, you could use that roughly to calculate profit, so forth and so on. Again, getting this all originally from webcomics or howtomakewebcomics.com and some other sources like some master's degree programming. Anyway, exit agreement, always good to have. After the project is released, the creators can make a decision to continue to develop the project or decide to exit and work on new versions, shouldn't be plural, sorry, typos, new versions of the project together, separately with other or individually, royalty-free, and use any of the assets created from the project, i.e. code, art, etc., excluding restrictions from third-party licenses in software to create game assets. So basically just saying that, if someone makes something for this project and they want to leave, they can take everybody else's work with them if they want to and pursue it with other people or by themselves. That's just a good exit agreement to have. I'll provide all my files for everyone to download. We'll be using Construct 2, so everyone can have my Construct 2 files. And the other thing is that why I put that thing about third-party licenses, is basically I'm not trying to distribute code of the programs we use to make. And even if we use open source software, which I don't think we'll be using this project, then I definitely am not, trying to distribute that code unless it's something like open source software, which it's like, it's open source and people can, okay, never mind. There, it's there. Okay, next, so then I just want to talk about some of the images I started searching. Just as part of the process, you should search for images. This right here is for silhouettes, just to get, if you're not familiar with the silhouette way of doing things, you try to get a silhouette in order to figure out how it looks by a basic shape, and your silhouette should be different. So just by looking at this, we have different mice. We know that each individual mouse actually looks different from the other ones, and that's just a good quick way to develop characters and put them against backgrounds, because if the silhouette of a character and your color scheme with the background merge, then the character becomes invisible. You can spot that quickly with silhouettes. Just more images from the Google search, and I try to do public domain, especially if it's like maybe images that we're looking at for characters. I don't know why, but the thing is that as I look through these images, you have a difference between cartoony images and real images, and even though we're making a more cartoony style game, the idea is, well, not cartoony, but a simplified version of a mouse. It's always good to look at real mice. We should also, since we're animating, this is a note for Christine, is that we should also consider using footage, obviously, and looking at mice. And can I point with a scroller? No, I can't. Next. The setting, this is a note for everyone on the team, is just basically they're going to be laboratory mice. So in the game, that's something to consider. So that's a note for John, so he can, think about that for backgrounds. Again, just more cuteness and stuff. I should just go through these quickly, because I know everyone's going to be doing their own searches. I like to take old photos from, stuff. So it's interesting enough if you look at, laboratories from 100 years ago, and laboratories today, at least from maybe 60, 70 years ago, lots that hasn't changed in labs. I mean, yeah, there's more computer, there's more data collection, and there are more safer equipment, but basically there's still a lot of glass tubes in labs, surprisingly. And it's kind of cool to see, you get this retro science effect when you look at old pictures of labs, and you look at the future pictures. Because, I look at this, and this looks like my high school laboratory when I was doing science in high school. Or, well, not so much college, but in high school. And it's funny because a lot hasn't changed. Again, this is going further back, and this is funny because you look at this, and it's an alchemist laboratory. There's musical instruments there. That's funny. I don't know what an alchemist uses musical instruments for back in the day, but they're there, and that's just interesting to me. So these are again some things to consider for design too. And also, as you look at real pictures, you can also learn some design techniques and notes from illustrations. So here we could be considering color schemes. Like we know from this that we could take a black and white image and or add some type of green or some type of orange, and pitting those two complementary colors, I hope it's complementary, with the black and white kind of neutrals. It's interesting, creates an interesting composition. Something that we maybe might want to consider in our templates and or as we go forward as a team. Just more old stuff, right? This is cool. Again, some more beakers and stuff. It's another illustration. You know, I'm just thinking again of, for me, templates. Even though I'm doing a lot of the programming and animation part, I'll leave this up for you guys to figure out what to do. As we sketch, we're going to probably sketch. This is kind of for everybody again. I guess I can kind of give this away. It's not so much a story part, but more of a game design part. We're going to need one of these. It's important. There you go. Spoiler free. And then, oh, this is another image I got, laboratory mice. Just something to consider. They have red eyes. I think I gotta look this up again, but I believe the red eyes might be because of the camera. I don't know if they actually have like red eyes that glow like that. I gotta look that up. But just another kind of interesting image. Again, we're gonna be not doing so much front shots. Those might be in some of the puzzle or hidden object parts of the game, but again, since we're a side scroller, I don't see his head churning necessarily, but again, I could be wrong. If we want to animate a head churn, maybe in a what's it called, standing position or idle position, maybe he can look around for like something, so it's possible we might have a full head churn, but again, we'll figure out how this plays out. I thought this was really cool. This is public domain, even the copyright's 1913. It's how to draw a mouse. And what's really interesting is if you go just to step 3 or step 4 of each of these guides, you have a cartoon mouse. But if you go to step 4 or step 5, you get a really detailed mouse. And again, these are just some really interesting design notes. Now, of course, you know, if you look at this is super simplified, and the stylization of this mouse leaves the back not necessarily, or the shape not necessarily be realistic. But again, it's a style choice, and I really appreciate it. All right, oh, there's one more slide. Sorry, this one I drew because I'll be doing the animation, and this is a great, again, it's a great example of communicating. I do have a like stylus. I do have a digital tablet. I don't use it enough. I plan to use it more. Maybe that way I can do more of these tutorials on how to set up animation. But I really like multicolored pen and paper. I'm just kind of old school there because I grew up before all this stuff was like things that kids played with. And you got, anyway. So moving on, I've just basically screenshot some of my other searches. We have here, this is Mouseguard, great webcomic. No, not webcomic, sorry, it's a traditional comic. This is printed. Oh my gosh, that's a great comic. Met the creator once, he's a cool dude. Didn't say much because didn't know what to say. Anyway, we look at this and you can see here by the eyes that we have realistic eyes, but this is an anthropomorphic, meaning it's like, you know, been made to be more human, to hold the sword and to hold. But I love those eyes, and I do love this overall illustration. So just to take notes, and I want to get beady eyes. This has been my suggestion to the team, so that the idea is that it's easier to see for animate. Well, it's easier to animate, and it's also easier to see for a player if we can figure out the eyes. What's the other thing? Oh, I had to put Steamboat Willie. This is actually public domain, Steamboat Willie. As far as I know, as far as I've researched, and yes, Disney still owns the, you know, trademarks and all the other stuff, but Steamboat Willie, again, I've got to look more into this. Apparently, the original film is in public domain, but you can't, like, I think you can't reprint it. I don't know how this works. But the thing is that I just want to look at Steamboat Willie for the purposes of design, and to consider the beady eye effect, because if we think about Steamboat Willie and we look at that eye, it has a lot of similarities with this eye you know, it has similarities with the other eyes we've seen. It's again taking kind of something that was from real life and it's applied here. Like again, that's just my take on it, my criticism of it, if you would. Finally, well, not finally. At least looking at web comics are concerned, or comics, Scurry has just blown up. I mean, it's ridiculous, and it's well deserved. I've read. It's free on the internet. You can read it. I read it on Tapastic, and it's a great little comic. It really does catch you. I didn't read enough ahead to realize that they were sentient and they talked, but from what I saw, I really liked it. So I just wanted to look at these again. We have again, it's taking from realism, and if you look at the comic, they're not so anthropomorphized. They do move like mice. They run like mice. This is really cool. They scurry like mice. Um, this is also really cool, again, just looking at those eyes, and I love the simplicity of this. I'm not suggesting we go for a painted look in the game, because I think that may take too long. I mean, backgrounds are cool. You can spend a lot of time on them because you'll see them. But again, for illustration purposes, I don't know if we should go, how much we should go with color, how much we should go with a painted look. Again, that's something to be decided. But I just really like the art in Scurry, especially the character designs of the mice. Again, this is also really cool. Thinking of Will Eisner, who is a famous comic book artist that a lot of people don't know when I bring up that name. But I think of Will Eisner's book where he talks about drawing people and how there's an animal shape in people. And Disney also did that a lot with their stuff, where they put people's animal features or people or anthropomorphized facial features in animals. And I think this is a great. I've seen this person. Not as a mouse, but I've seen this type of person, this face, and I love that character, and I love the look in the eyes. Now, we talk about eyes a lot, and we see this eyes are very squinty. I kind of feel this is like Splinter from from Ninja Turtles, but it's not. It's Master Orum. But again, taking kind of some of those things that Splinter had in his look, even though he was a rat, I know, fair enough, is that we see this, and there's that wise look in that that arch. And it's interesting because you look at this, and that wise arch is actually arch or very triangle, soft triangle, is highlighted by his brows. Everything kind of leads in or from his eyes, if you think about it. So it's kind of cool because the strokes in this lead you to this character's eyes or come from this character's eyes. It's almost like his view of the world transitions from his own thoughts and his own view into the rest of the world, which is really kind of cool. This one right here, it's funny because it's the same design, but we can see that this look is not so much about wisdom, but just because it's a little tinier and a little sharper, it's kind of got, and you can read these backgrounds here, but this is a person who's kind of seen something, and I guess when you read that background over there, it could be blood of some sort. I don't know. Again, I need to read the comic more. Well, it's really cool because now we haven't really seen eyelids as compared to the first designs, but we can see this one, and this one is like really intense. Again, it's that triangle, and even though it's again the same type of triangle shape, just the variation in this and the use of the eyelids really makes you not trust this guy. Again, this is another cool one. It's kind of this one's a great set of eyes right here. This is kind of the eyes, my read of a character who used to be innocent and then has kind of gotten like a little bit more jaded as time has gone on. Again, I made a dig by accident, against what's it called? Oh gosh darn, I can't remember. Trump. I'll make a dig for Hillary to make it balanced. Yes, doesn't that remind you of Hillary Clinton? Okay, that's awful. I hope I don't get. I don't know. I just lost my team. Sorry. Anyway, the last and final thing is I wanted to talk about The Secret of Nimh, which is a great film. And if you look at The Secret of Nimh, just looking at an anthropomorphized character, great story, by the way. Not going to spoil it here. You should check it out wherever you can check it out. But the thing is that you look at this, and I just really nice eyes. Again, I would deter from this type of model because I don't like how this would be harder to animate. Now, this is something because I'm not trying to be like a pixel artist in the sense of like pixel art is the best. I think pixel art is a style. I think there are aspects to it I like, but I'm a pragmatic person. even though we're high definition, we inevitably are dealing with pixels. So even this picture I'm looking at of this character from The Secret of Nimh, she is pixelated. And my concern would be about ratios, especially since we're making HTML game, and I consider players who will be playing it on a phone. And if we zoom into this character, we can see that detailed eye. It's beautiful. But if we zoom very far out, let's see if I can zoom out. I don't know if I can zoom out here. Yeah, look. If I zoom really far out, I can only really see the silhouette of the character, kind of. You know, like the shape of her. I won't see the eyes. And it would kill me for us to spend a lot of time for Christine making the art and then for me to animate it. And it's like, we won't see it. We won't see all that beautiful detail. And that's kind of my concern with this. But again, but still, I like how the animation looks. I think, you know, Secret of Nimh is something to look at for inspiration, but not necessarily something we could use fully style-wise. This is a note for Kristen to basically work on head turns or consider head turns in her sketches. That's just a note right there. Send that to you. Wow. This is just because I pressed the button. No, just kidding. These are character gestures, which, you know, I don't know how many to play around with these. But then, you know, this will, oh, this is a reminder for keyframe animations. So I'll need, maybe we might have, you might have to draw keyframe animations in order for me to animate it between the cutout animation stuff I do, and then make it look smoother. So this is something that we might have to go back and forth on. Again, just another idea of keyframe animations to consider. There's a great GDC talk about the Skullgirls animator. She talks about this too, and we can use some of her techniques with framing and timing. And this is some cool stuff with that. Now, I also mention this. I hope I didn't mess up anyone's name. I haven't. Christine. All right, I have not. I hope I've said everybody's names right because I haven't met these people in real life as far as I can remember. This is kind of cool. This is gonna be all. We're all on the internet project. So yeah, maybe we'll meet online. Maybe we'll do a YouTube thing. Not a YouTube thing. We should do a Google Hangout. I won't broadcast, but just basically so that we can talk and chat a little bit. Maybe draw. It'd be nice to draw. Or I can program while people draw. So that's basically it. I know this is longer. I usually try to keep things around 7 or 8 minutes, unless it's like a slideshow presentation with a talk. And I guess my ceremonial speeches might be 30 minutes. This is pretty bad. I don't know what I'm going to do for the Twine novel thing. I'm going to try to keep that under 7 because I don't want to, I mean, that's going to be an interesting introduction to people. I don't want to like blah 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 too long. But I hope my team has made it thus far. If you have, awesome. And we should talk and I'll listen for like 30 minutes. Okay. Alrighty, that's it. Cheers, peace, chicken grease.